forget my people. I didn't forget my fans, my people that tune in all the time. Thank you for the support. There's a lot of great things happening. Well, good things happening. It's not so great, but I'm not gonna be a pessimist. I'm just gonna be a realist. Tonight we're gonna have a real good fight by Jerome Bruce Ennis, who's gonna fight David Anesvian. I never heard of the guy. The guy's from Russia, and he's fighting. He has 30 wins, 4 losses, a draw, and 18 KOs. The opponent that Jaron Ennis, Bruce Ennis, was going to fight, I think his name was Crowley, was replaced. I don't know what happened with him, why they replaced him. I don't know what happened. I don't know what issues he had, but they replaced that boxer with David Enesvian. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Correct me if well, I don't know if you're gonna be able to correct me because the pronunciation I won't be able to hear it unless you send me an audio video. So yeah, that fight is tonight in the Wells Fargo Arena in Philadelphia, and it's gonna have Jerron Bruce Ennis for the first time showcasing his abilities, his talent, and I would like to see a little bit more about him. I know he's very skillful. He has a lot of talent. He's really unproven, so I want to see how great he is. Oh, how much potential he has. He has a lot of potential, and a lot of people talk about him fighting Terrence Crawford. You know, everything is politics, so they're not gonna make that fight until they build him up, until Eddie Hearns builds him up, and the undercard is gonna have some people I never heard of. Got former champion from Puerto Rico. Who he's gonna fight. Um, who else is gonna fight in that card? It's gonna be some prospects. One from Philadelphia. Um, I think one from the Bronx, and some guy who's undefeated. I think I don't know too much about him, but it's gonna be a brawl because they got into it in the press conference, and it's gonna be a interesting night. I look forward to the main event. I don't know too much about the undercard as far as the opponent, the prospects coming up. Like there's a lot of new people coming up, and I feel like it's gonna be an interesting fight. Don't forget, yeah, yes. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yes. Um, Whoever is tuning in right now, thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. Check out my music. It's on all major platforms as well. Tony also. Yes. So right now I want to talk about Subriel Matias. The latest I heard from him is that he parted ways with Panda from Mexico, the trainer that's been working with Subriel Matias for 3 years actually. And Subriel Matias has been training in the mountains in Huitipilco, Mexico, and he's been really away from his family a lot. Like 10 months in Mexico, 5 months, and long, different trainings, different trainings that he's had. I think for 3 fights, he's trained them for the Jeremias Ponce fight, and he's trained them for the other fight when he fought that the Russian guy. He's trained him for that fight, and he's trained him for the last fight with Panda. So I think he's trained them for 3 fights, and I feel like he missed his family. It was a mutual agreement. Um, you know, Subriel Matias has no animosity towards Panda, and Panda has no animosity towards him. There's nothing, no friction between them based on the way he spoke highly of Subriel Matias. It was a mutual agreement that they were talking about before Subriel Matias fought Paro, and it was something that they agreed upon because Subriel Matias was saying that he doesn't know how long he's going to be having in boxing based on his age. He's 32 years old, so he didn't want to be away from his family that long. He sacrificed 3 years from his family, and he wasn't able to see his daughter and his newborn daughter because he was training the whole time. So he missed out, I think, a year of her life, and that's probably affected him. And I feel like I just believe that based on the interviews and what he said previously and what led to the defeat with Paro, I feel like Subriel Matias something must have happened with the promotion because I feel like his promoter Urango has always promoted without anybody else's help. He had really no promoter. He promoted on the under, you know, Al Heyman, but it wasn't directly with Al Heyman. It was through Showtime Boxing, and he was really under the radar for the most part before he became champion. Subriel Matias was under the radar through Urango Fresh Productions of Puerto Rico. So he got to the point to become a champion with nobody else's help but Urango, who is his promoter and still is his promoter, and he's the one that actually got Subriel Matias to the point where he became a champion with Fresh Production Boxing of Puerto Rico. So I noticed that a lot of these promoters from Puerto Rico, you know, since they're not big entities or big corporations, they always have to work under the radar with a bigger company. And whenever they actually have to go to the next level, a lot of the fighters that, you know, from the corporations of Puerto Rico, like, you know, Fresh Productions, Universal Promotions from Javier Bustillo, who is the head of Universal Promotions in Puerto Rico. It's one of the best promotions in Puerto Rico. I feel like every time a Puerto Rican promotion has a boxer and he has to go to the next level, it's like the bigger companies take them and use them as a scapegoat for their champions in a bigger company that's more established and more known. And all the champions that came under a promotion of Puerto Rico, they never get to the elite status where they need to, because it's like they're used as scapegoats, as pawns. Like when they get to the point where they become champions, the bigger corporations, the bigger companies don't want to sign them for a long-term deal. They'll sign them to make sure that they lose against one of their fighters. And I feel like that's what that happened with Pedraza. Pedraza came up under Javier Bustillo's Universal Promotion, and then when he got big, they put him at top rank, and then eventually, you know what happened? You know, he fought with Top Rank, and then they lost to Tank Davis, you know, Pedraza. So it's like they set him up to lose. They set up the Puerto Rican fighters that come up under a Puerto Rican promotion so they can actually lose. It's like they don't really get to the elite status like the way it used to be, like when we had Don King signed Felix Trinidad, Top Rank signed Miguel Cotto. But if it's a promotion that started in Puerto Rico and then all of a sudden a big company picks them up that's established, the big company that's established picks up the fighters that came under the promotion of Puerto Rico and set them up to lose. It's like they don't have the same interests. It's like that's basically what I think happened with let me see what it said. Nah, that's the man that did that to my fight. He wanted to fight at a higher weight. He asked for more money just to be forced to find his own way home from Florida. Wow. Yeah, man, they forced they were trying to force Subriel Matias to go to 147, and he chose not to go to 147. It's like they were trying to sacrifice him to lose. And I feel like a lot of these boxers, when they come under a Puerto Rican promotion, and then when they try to transition to the next level, like Eddie Hearns in this particular case with Subriel Matias, it seems like they set him up to lose. Every fighter that he was fighting, they make sure that he fight an undefeated fighter, number one contender, back to back. And Eddie Hearns probably said, I'm going to sign him to, well, he did say, I'm going to sign him for a multi-deal contract, and I signed Harrell to a long-term deal. So that's politics right there. And all these fighters that come under a Puerto Rican promotion, it seems like they just get set up to get eaten by the shark. And in this case with Subriel Matias, he wasn't eaten by a shark because you could tell he was holding back purposely, and he didn't throw 80 punches every round like the way he always does. He don't fight like that. He threw 30 punches around. So I feel like it was politics, boxing politics. That's what made that situation the way it is. And I feel like the only way that a boxer that is from Puerto Rico that's going to make it is if the big machine is behind him. The big machine was never behind Subriel Matias. And that's the reason why Subriel Matias was set up to lose. I believe he was set up to lose. And when they asked Subriel Matias in the interviews, they asked him, a lot of people are saying that he was partying. There was people who say that he was partying before the fight. And Subriel Matias laughed and said, "Oh, I'm not part of that movie." Like, he's not gonna say it. He's not gonna say it. There's sources that are close to Subriel Matias that it was already mentioned in one of the channels. Offensive stance. Basically, he knows sources that were close to Subriel Matias that actually said it. But I don't want to, talk about that. I can't see what the comments are. My God, bro, not that fork. That's a flyweight. They want. Don't forget, yeah. All right. So yeah. So what happened was that's what happened with Subriel Matias. But as far as Shakur Stevenson, right now, he's in a situation where he has to become the villain. It seems like he has to become the villain for people to actually want to watch him. Kind of like what Mayweather did. And Timothy Bradley alluded to that. And he was basically saying that that's what Shakur Stevenson is doing right now. He's focusing on going back and forth with people just to get people all he gets upset when people say something about that his style is boring. Like, with Cameron on the show and Mace, they were talking about this guy, Shakur Stevenson's performance, that he was boring. I think it was out of line for them to say that. Like, just because they don't follow the sweet science the way a pure boxing fan would do it, that doesn't give them the right. They have the right to their opinion, but they don't know how hard it is to actually train for a fight. And I feel like Shakur Stevenson is the one training really hard for the fight. And you don't necessarily have to be a brawler to be successful in boxing, but 9 times out of 10, in these days, most people want to see a knockout, and most people have a short attention span. They don't have the patience to watch a technical fight, for 12 rounds. I do. I can. It depends on how you do it. I feel like Shakur Stevenson, it's going to be a little harder for him to get the respect that he wants unless he actually goes straight to the Tank Davis fight and fights him, because, all these other fights, are not building a lot of interest. But if he beats Tank Davis by decision, then he will shut everybody up. But I feel like boxing is very corrupt, and they're going to go with the boxer that has more fans, and they're going to make sure that the fight goes to the decision. They're going to probably rob Shakur Stevenson and give it to the guy that's backed by the machine, which is Tank Davis. He's back. He has more backing from the machine. So I feel like that's the way boxing is right now. That's the way it is. So right now I feel like the fight tonight with Gerard Bruce Ennis is going to be interesting because he proves. Oh yeah, Shakur and Haney. I wouldn't want to see that fight. I agree with you, Matty Garcia. I agree with you. But it would be intriguing to see Shakur Stevenson versus Tank Davis because it's two different styles, and I want Shakur Stevenson to prove people wrong because a lot of people are sleeping on Shakur Stevenson. On that last fight that he had, he dominated the guy. He did what he was supposed to do. It may not have been to your liking or to the people that want to see a knockout. It may not be the style of fight that you like, but at the same time, you got to respect that Shakur Stevenson controlled the fight. He controlled the pace. He made the fighter miss, and he actually dominated him. He outlanded him. And, a lot of people felt like he could have landed more shots, did take more chances. But at the end of the day, we're not in the ring with the fighter. So you don't know what Shakur Stevenson was dealing with and what he did, what he was watching. So at the end of the day, he's a master at defense. And he's not a power puncher, but he can be a little bit more exciting. Maybe he might have to put a little bit more into it. Said Cancio got that robbery. Yeah, he did get that robbery. Yeah. Cancio lost that fight. Definitely lost that fight. I saw that. But, Cancio has a name that he built by losing to Shakur Stevenson. And that's the reason why his name has a little bit of a weight, because he lost to Shakur Stevenson, but he made a good account of himself, even though he lost. And, a lot of people just, go by the record and how many fans know who the fighter is. And a lot of people know about Cansencio because of the two fights that he had with big names. So, and he lost those fights, but still, a lot of people recognize that name. So it's like they could use him as a prospect fight for somebody that's coming up. Another champion could actually go against them, and it's like a good name. That's why they gave him the fight against the guy that he the guy that was outboxing him. Forgot his name, but that guy, his name is not as big as Consensual, but I think he won the fight. Consensual got a big, huge robbery. He should have won that fight. They should have gave it to the other guy. Yep. So since you got that robbery, yeah, he did. But yeah, that's as far as the fight tonight, I don't know too much about David Enenzian. Evansnet, what is his name? We're talking boxing. Yes, we're talking boxing. Yep. This fight tonight with Jerron Boots Ennis. I want to know what your prediction is. I feel like Jerron Boots Ennis, he's getting the promotion from Eddie Hearns, so we're gonna see how far he goes with Eddie Hearns. Eddie Hearns is a good promoter, but he's also sneaky. He's gonna have his fighter fight Terrence Crawford, and that's fight that Terrence Crawford is fighting a tough guy from the Ukraine. I think he's from the Ukraine, and Eddie Hearns is banking on his Ukraine fighter to beat Crawford, because Crawford had beaten Ricky Burns, who was from England. So I guess Eddie Hearns wants revenge for that loss. So he wants the fighter that signed under him to beat Terrence Crawford. Yeah. As far as Lomachenko and Tank, I feel like that fight lost some sting. That fight would have been better 3 years ago. Lomachenko, I think Lomachenko is overhyped. He's really good, but when he looks like a boring fighter and he outboxes the fighters, they never say, Lomachenko is a boring fighter. They never say that. They say, he's the closest thing to Muhammad Ali. Like Bob Arum will say that. But when it comes to like Shakur Stevenson, he does the same thing. They say he's boring. So it's a double standard. I think that Tank, right now at this point, I think Tank will beat Lomachenko, but it would be an interesting fight because Lomachenko has skills, but Tank Davis does have skills too. He has underrated skills. He's good with his legs. He can box if he wants to, but when he doesn't have to box, he just goes out and knocks you out, and he's gun blazing. I feel like Tank Davis is a really great fighter, but he needs to prove himself. He hasn't beaten somebody elite in his weight class, like on his level. Like, not a lot of times the fighters are coming up from weight, like Barrios, Leo Santo Cruz. They were all coming up in weight from a lower weight class. So Leo Santo Cruz was a 126 pounder. So I just feel like he weight drained Ryan Garcia, even though I think he still would have beat Ryan Garcia, even if he didn't weight drain him. But if you are the best and you have confidence in your ability, you shouldn't do that. You should just fight Ryan Garcia at 135 instead of training. And his inactivity, remember, Ukraine got invaded, causing him to go missing in action. Yeah, Ukraine got invaded. I know that, all that political stuff, but at the end of the day, we're talking about Lomachenko, his age. He hasn't been in the ring for a while, and he lost to Teofimo Lopez. He beat Kambosos, and right now, I just feel like he's willing to step back and let Shakur Stevenson. He's willing to step aside and let Shakur Stevenson fight Tank Davis. That's what he said. I feel like he's been too inactive. And they gave him so many opportunities to become a champion, and he's a champion now. They gave him so many opportunities, even when he lost to Teofimo Lopez. I just feel like it's a double standard, Oh, you say he beat? Well, it was a close fight. Yeah, it could have went either way. I think it could have went to Lomachenko, but I just feel like it was a close fight, and it could have went to Lomachenko, but at the end of the day, he didn't get the win. But before that, he made a good account of himself. The Devin Haney fight. Yes, it was a close fight. Could have went either way. I feel Like he lost to Teofimo Lopez, and they still gave him a chance to redeem himself. Which I hope they give Subriel Matias that same chance. Subriel Matias, I think that he if he gets that chance to redeem himself, that's gonna be good. I just feel like is there gonna be boxing politics? It seems like that from the interviews, Subriel Matias was saying that now the fighters that didn't want to fight him are gonna want to fight him because now that he lost, maybe they'll want to fight him, but maybe they won't even want to fight him even more because they have a reason to not fight him. But maybe they probably look at him like as food if he lost to Paro the way he did. But I think that you could tell that that fight was fixed. And he didn't even throw in that many combinations. Subriel Matias only 30 punches per round. He don't fight like that. Subriel Matias throws 80 punches per round. So something is fishy about that fight, and you don't know what happened when he got to the next level, and then a big promoter wanted to sign Subriel Matias. Remember, Subriel Matias comes from a Puerto Rican promotion that he was under the radar for most of his career. And then now he left Showtime. Showtime, he wasn't really directly under Al Heyman. So when he gets to the next level, like to fight with a different promoter like Eddie Hearns, they're just using him for like as a scapegoat for other fighters that are trying to win and establish their name through Eddie Hearns' company. So I feel like there's a lot of boxing politics going on, man. So yeah, that's all I got for now. But tune into the fight, Jaron Ennis versus David Anisvenian, who I don't know how to pronounce his name. Check out that fight tonight, and let's see what happens. I think that Jaron Boots Ennis wins the fight. He possibly knocks this guy out. If not, a unanimous decision. That's all I got. Tony also knows boxing. Tune into my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Click like, comment. Appreciate. One love. Tony also knows boxing.